What is going on, everybody? This is BitWZan, and this is Capture the Point.
Oh, Lord.
What? No, you don't like the theme song for the show? I mean, I thought I spruced things up around here.
Hey.
But welcome to Capture the Point. This is our nonsense debate contest where we pit two members of our crew against each other in order to be named or go after the champ, who's still currently Mazentius sitting on top there.
Yeah.
But let us meet this week's combatants. First, she bested the minister in her last battle.
Oh, my God.
Taking her off the loser's board and inching closer to try to take the belt. Secret Kittty!
My first win ever. Last time.
The next combatant was a man who was cheated out of his victory and championship in his last victory, and now seeks vengeance on the person who wronged him. BitWZan, baby! That's me. And introducing this week's judge, moderator, or adjudicator, he walks forever in the ether, Minister E.
That will be sabotaging Secret Kittty. No.
Wow.
for her victory over me in the last debate. Yeah. No, it's gonna be
this
fair.
is your if this is your first Capture the Point, then we're going to take a quick look at the rules. The judge is going to choose who goes first in any way he deems fair. The contestants both have 3 minutes for their opening statement. After both have gone, they will have a 10-minute open floor back and forth battle royale. After the 10 minutes are up, the judge is going to award the points to the person who they believe won. There will be 2 rounds. If both members each get a point, then we go to a tiebreaker that the judge will then come up with a tiebreaker question, which will decide the winner. And as far as receiving the questions, that will leave that to the minister. I will pass the reins on to you, buddy.
All right. The way this is gonna go, we're gonna have Mazentius as the audience.
Yeah.
And I will use the audience to choose who goes first. But before that, we'll go to the first question. So, I'm a fan of Jim Carrey. I've seen him Live in Color, all that good stuff that he's done in the past. And he's always been an odd guy. But he's become more odd over time, and especially now. So the question I have is, Jim Carrey crazy or a genius? So we're going to have BitWZan prove if Jim Carrey is brilliant. And Secret Kittty will be choosing if he is crazy. So you have...
We didn't choose.
Yeah, it wasn't really a choice.
I know, right?
Oh. Well,
We were assigned these tasks by the minister.
Well, I would like to make it seem as if I was making you guys choose. No, yeah, that's right.
Okay.
I did choose for that. It's not fair, but such is the world we live in. So you both have 3 minutes to go.
Mm-hmm.
So I will let Mez decide who goes first. Everyone knows my coin is very unfair. So might as well go with
The
Mez.
mental coin.
So Mez,
Yeah.
who do you want to go first? Do you want Secret Kittty or Zan to start off first?
I guess Zen.
Ah.
Go first.
All right, Zan, let me get the clocks set up here. And go. If
Okay.
you're ready.
So, now I'm not going to sit here and try to explain or state how Jim Carrey is brilliant in a way to state he's some kind of genius. But I do think Jim Carrey is smart, and I do think that he has a plan for himself and the things that he says and he does. Throughout his whole life and his career, I believe Jim Carrey has planned the stages of his career in order to keep himself relevant in certain ways. Early on, he established himself as this crazy, antic-filled actor that could do and say whatever he wanted, and that's the image he wants to portray. He wants to portray to the rest of us. Let's not forget, one of Jim Carrey's idols was Andy Kaufman, another eccentric, wacky antics comedian that people say was actually really a smart and deep, thoughtful man. The way he portrayed himself was kind of the same way. The comparison to both cannot be understated as to how both men presented themselves and how they really were. As his career went on, he changed his image and the movies he did in order for everyone to pine for the old Jim Carrey. They would always say, just go back to comedy, Jim. Like, that's what they wanted for him when he was doing like his dramas and stuff like that. I think Jim gets in his own way as far as his career because I believe the things he says and does is purposeful in the way Andy Kaufman would troll people by messing with TVs or acting as Tony Clifton, his alter ego. The weird or creepy things he says that Jim Carrey says is on purpose to get the buzz around him whenever he wants, because I believe he sees himself as this generation's Andy Kaufman. If anything else, he is authentic in the things he says. He can go to like a fashion show and scorch the hell out of it by saying that it's meaningless and state none of it matters, which it doesn't. But he can also be asked by Maharishi University to deliver a speech at their graduation and make it profound that people say it changed their lives. That's the role he's in now. He's not aiming for the next big role in movies, or he's not aiming to make a comeback. He's just enjoying the way things are going for him right now. But he will say or do something out of the blue, I think, for the reaction, because I think ultimately that's what he lives for. It's for the reaction out of people. To me, that sums up Jim Carrey beautifully. If you look even at the Jerry Seinfeld interview that he did, or that Jerry Seinfeld show, I believe everything he did in that interview was deliberate. From the first appearance you get by him of Jim Carrey, he's climbing the door to pouring the sweetener from the ceiling of the cafe. It was all a performance. That's what he's all about. He's all about performing and getting a reaction out of people. If Jim Carrey wanted to play the normal comedian, he could have done that, but he wouldn't be known as the Jim Carrey he is right now. And that's why I think Jim Carrey is ultimately a brilliant person.
Okay. Okay, we got you stopped there. All right, Zan has made his statement known. Secret Kitty, are you ready?
Yeah.
And go.
Alright, so everybody knows who Jim Carrey is. He's pretty iconic in comedy movies, but is he really all there? Can a regular person really act the way he does in movies? And we know that all artists are a little crazy, right? So, like, it makes sense that he's not all there, especially with the level that he's at. He himself says that it's like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde type of thing when he gets on stage. It's like a whole nother persona that he is. And not many people can do that, I think. And if you haven't seen, like you were talking about, Andy, what's his name, Kaufman? There's also on Netflix another show called, not a show, it's a movie, a documentary kind of thing, called Jim and Andy, where it's like backstage, like footage of Jim Carrey when he was filming the movie Man on the Moon, where he portrays Andy Kaufman. And I've heard of like actors being like their parts like all the time. I forgot what it's called. Yeah, I forgot what that what that method of acting. Yeah, that's what it's called, method acting. But he took it to an extreme, whole nother level, where even like the director himself got really frustrated with Jim Carrey as Andy Kaufman. Like his facial expressions, the way he stood, everything about him was the same. And even after the movie, he couldn't go back to acting as Andy Kaufman. It broke him. Like, he was supposed to be in REM's video Man on the Moon, but he couldn't do it. It was too much for him. And so he might be like this great actor and stuff, but I think it comes at a price. And that's kind of it.
Okay.
Wow. Like that ending line. It comes at a price.
Yeah, that was a nice little touch there. Well, I can't draw any verdicts yet because we still have to go into the 10-minute open floor, which is the most juicy and steamy part of the debate. So, I will ask, Bit WZan, are you ready?
Yep.
Secret Kitty, are you ready?
Yeah.
Then let the battle.
You know?
I mean, let the peaceful debate begin. Go.
Okay. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go?
You start off. I don't really.
Okay.
Oh,
I think like a lot of the points you were making about Jim Carrey is like fair, but if you're looking at it, that's it. It's fair if you're looking at it from a person who, who isn't as eccentric as Jim Carrey. Because like I said, I think everything he does is deliberate. Because the same thing was said about Andy Kaufman. Like the fact that you stated that he did that movie and stuff like that. I think everything he does, and everything he did is on purpose. Because Jim Carrey, like when you see him in points when he's doing interviews or whatever, he can just be normal. He can't just be normal. Like I said, when he delivered that speech to that university, to that class, he wasn't being wacky or like antic or anything like that. That was after Man of the Moon. That was just him being Jim Carrey, being normal, letting these kids know that there's like more to life and that there's inspiration and stuff, where to draw inspiration from themselves. The Jim Carrey that we see being on set or whatever, that's to him, that's just all an act. I think he gets a kick out of that stuff, out of making people feel uncomfortable or making people feel weird, because that's the same thing Andy Kaufman used to do. Like Andy Kaufman got out of on SNL.
I don't think it makes him feel any kind of way, though. I think he personified Andy Kaufman, but he did it to an extreme, and like it wasn't for like making him feel anything or because it was funny. It's because that's what Andy Kaufman would have done. Like, who does that? Who is so obsessed with one person that they personify them so much that, like, he got in a fight with the wrestler. The wrestler actually got mad at him, whatever his name was, I forgot. Like, the one that slapped him in real life. And while Andy Kaufman, the real one, and the wrestler were alright, they were friends and stuff, Jim Carrey and that wrestler were not, because he was like, Andy Kaufman was, like, respectful towards that wrestler. Like, he called him Mr. or whatever, and he wasn't like trolling him constantly the way Jim Carrey was. Jim Carrey took it to a whole nother level for no reason, though, because it wasn't really funny. It was just what he thought Andy Kaufman
exactly
would do. That's he was
that's
obsessed.
What I'm saying. But everything he's doing, like I said, is purposeful. Like, it's not a thing where he's like, I don't know what I'm doing or anything like that. And actors who get into their roles and stuff like that, it's not something that it's just like specific to Jim Carrey, because there are people who do that all over. Like Heath Ledger, a lot of people think he died because he was so into the Joker. Or like you can look at this guy's whole career. I can't remember his name now. I'll think of him later. But there's other actors who have gone so into their roles that people, look at Jared Leto. Yeah, he did the Joker too, and people were like, oh my God, he's so wacky and he's sending out dead rats and whatever. That's not anything that's specific to Jim Carrey. That's just, I think, what Jim Carrey's form of entertainment is. He's like, I want to be this generation's Andy Kaufman, and I want to be remembered in a certain way. Everything he does is planned out.
Do you think that those actors, though, that do the method acting like that is healthy for them, though? I don't think so, because maybe nobody really knows what happened to the other Joker guy, right? I think it was a drug overdose. But maybe him being that method actor took a big toll on him mentally, and like I think Jim Carrey has been able to express himself better with, we talked about like the comedians thing, where he started painting because I think he needed some kind of like mental stability, and I think that's helped him a lot. But I think he is not, all there, and maybe he's trolling, but I don't think so. I think some of the stuff he says is like a little too much. I think his like whole life of like comedians are like the saddest people, I think, and like I think it's the same thing for Jim Carrey, and I think it might be more than just sadness.
Well, I'll counter the method acting thing with someone like Daniel Day-Lewis. That's who I was thinking about earlier. That's the person who people were saying that was such a method actor in everything he did, and he's not crazy or anything like that anyway. He's just got so deep into the role that's what he was about, and that's all Jim Carrey did. He got to play somebody that he idolized, so he got so into the role of it. But I think what he's doing now is just that he's just being this generation's Andy Kaufman in that way, and he has to go about it in a different way. So he says wacky things, or he does wacky things, and like even when he was doing the Jerry Seinfeld thing, like he was showing the paintings and everything like that, it was all to get a reaction, to see what kind of reaction he can get from Jerry. Like he was saying kind of like weird, like doing nonsense stuff, like doing like I said, putting the sweetener from the ceiling of the cafe. Why does he have to do that? because he's on camera and because he knows he's gonna get a reaction from Jerry. Like that's it. Like that's what he wants. That's why that's the brilliance of Jim Carrey, is that he knows he's gonna get a reaction. What the things he does hold weight now because of the characters he played before in the movies. They know him as Wacky Jim.
I think he does it because he like those wacky things, because he's like watching his interview and watching that movie. It's like kind of like, what is the point in life? Like, you can just do whatever you want type of thing. And I don't think most people think like that. Like, yeah, we can all, I guess, drop sweetener down from like the ceiling or whatever, but like either way, doing it is kind of pointless. Doing it from the ceiling or doing it down below, it is just coffee. I don't know. It's the way that he talks about those things, and I don't know.
But I'll say, like, the fact that you're saying that you think the guy's crazy, but this, like I said, I believe it's all an image, and he's smart, because the fact that they were able to get a documentary movie out of this just says that it's working. That people are like, look, wow, watch this movie. Like, he's really crazy. Look at it. And it's like, no, it's not. This is all he's doing is all to get you to watch and say and make you think that he's crazier than he really is, because it's a buzz around it, right? There's a buzz around that movie now where people are just like, oh, like he's like this. The director's scared of him. Like, this is the same thing that the Suicide Squad did. Well, yeah, like even the Suicide Squad, David Ayers was saying the same thing about Jared Leto. Like, oh, I don't know, I can't work with this guy because he's so into the Joker. Like, it creates a buzz around the product they're trying to sell, and the product was the movie, and it got people into it because they're just like, yeah, wow, Jim Carrey is really out there. Look at him, he's so nuts. What is he saying now? What's Jim Carrey gonna do now? Kind of a thing. Like, that's the image he wants to portray to people. I don't think he's at home doing all this weird antic stuff. Like, he's just being Jim Carrey at home.
Well, in the movie itself, they said that they didn't release it because they didn't want people to think he was an asshole. And I can see why, because, like, when he was doing that alter ego to Andy Kaufman, he was an asshole. Clifton. Yeah, whatever his name is.
Yeah.
He was an asshole, and, like, why would you do that? Like,
because that's what Andy Kaufman did. When Andy Kaufman was Tony Clifton, he wasn't Andy Kaufman being Tony Clifton. He was Tony Clifton.
Yeah.
He was an asshole.
Yeah, I know. But, like, you're not. You're just shooting a movie. And even when you're not shooting the movie, you're acting like that still. Like,
he was method acting. A lot of method actors do it. Like I said, Daniel Day-Lewis does the exact same thing. When he was Abraham Lincoln, he was Abe Lincoln all the time, apparently. Like, and
he didn't use
people were like, oh, that's it. But he won an Oscar for it. So, like, it's things actors do. They're eccentric. They're not crazy.
Eccentric and crazy are, like, almost the same thing, though.
You could be eccentric without being a crazy person. There's a difference there. They're not like synonyms of each other.
Maybe you can be, but I think when it comes to artists, I think they are a little crazy. And not just like Jim Carrey, maybe a lot of actors. Like, actors are probably some of the weirdest people out there, and comedians. You can see it in that show with Jerry Seinfeld. They're some of the strangest people, and it's fascinating, yeah, but maybe it's not healthy for them.
But you're always going to have to ask yourself, how much of that is just a performance and how much of it is actually real? Because when the cameras are on, they're still selling their brand. They're just still selling themselves, which is their brand. And they want people to believe in them, saying like, oh, maybe there's this much more to this person than what we see on TV or on the stage. You know, like there's depth to this person. So you're always going to have to ask yourself, how much of this is really just a performance? And I think with Jim Carrey, it's all performance.
All the time? Because
whenever he's on camera.
The other comedians were not like that. They were just...
Whenever he tweets anything, whenever he goes on like an interview or whatever, yes, I think for Jim Carrey, I think he believes that's time for me to be on and be like, and, you know, put on a show for somebody and sell himself out there because he's keeping him relevant. He hasn't had a movie, you know, come out in years, but he's still like a relevant name to people because of the things he says and things he does. Like he wants to be, like I said, an Andy Kaufman of this era, and that's pretty smart. He's, like I said, he hasn't had a good movie in a while, and he's still kind of on people's mouths.
I don't know. I mean, like, I didn't think of anything about him until recently from the Netflix stuff.
Exactly.
By the way,
it's purposeful.
Netflix.
That's all purposeful.
Yeah, I don't really have anything else.
Okay, well, yeah, I guess I'm done then.
And that's time at 9:59. So all you have to do is wait
Wow.
1 second. You just had to hang out 1 second, and you would have got to the time limit. But you gave up.
I mean, it's
so
still
you
like
lose
I
that
didn't give up.
achievement.
We were just done. I think.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mhm.
all right. So to recap on what you guys went over, man, you guys dropped some pretty good points. It kind of made my original decision wane back and forth. So Zan brought up that Jim Carrey is doing things pretty much on purpose. He's doing it to create buzz around himself, and you know Zan brought up a good point that he delivered a meaningful speech after Man on the Moon, which is a real good point to put in there. Secret brought up that Jim Carrey calls himself, or thought of himself as a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, which doesn't sound too healthy. And then he takes method acting to the extreme, and that there might be a price in it. I like that touch. So coming down to what made me make my decision here, it's coming up. When Secret made the final, well, not a final statement, but the statement that method acting in itself might be unhealthy, kind of made it Zan's point about saying, oh yeah, he's just doing this for the camera or doing this. Well, you can't see behind closed doors. What if that kind of makes me think, like, what if that method acting does really break some people, and maybe it did break Jim Carrey, and he's kind of stuck in a different mindset now. So I think that kind of, even though Zan brought up all these good points, that last bit saying that method acting in itself, attacking, method acting, throwing that in the mix, kind of solidified Kitty's point on this. So I'm going to go and give this round to Secret Kitty.
Wow.
That was tough. That was tough.
And
that was a good
decision.
point, the method acting thing.
Even,
when she said that, I kept on thinking about it. I said, damn, that kind of, that busts up a lot of stuff right there.
Yeah, it's like even Daniel Day-Lewis, like he retired from acting, like really.
Yeah, but she didn't know that, Meg.
I mean, I'm saying it after the point, though.
Yeah, I know.
Mez is the audience. He can say whatever.
The point is like the fact that Daniel Day-Lewis retired from acting.
Yeah.
Like after such a short career,
it took a task on him. Like method acting took such a thing on him that he retired.
Who is he? What like movies was he in? Because I can't. I don't know names.
Have you seen the Gangs of New York? He played the butcher.
Oh
that one.
Yeah, he was. He's considered.
Arguably
considered one of the best actors of all time.
He's the guy who says like the meme, whatever that was like, I'll drink the milkshake. That guy.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw that meme or that little clip. Oh well.
You gotta see Gangs of New York. See Gangs of New York. It's a good movie.
Or
it is a good
movie. Was it Lincoln that he was in?
Lincoln, yeah, that's the one where he was Abraham Lincoln. He's been a lot of high-end movies and stuff like that. Anything that wins an Academy Awards, he's probably in some way.
Method acting in there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So all right, that's round one. Goes to Secret Kitty. Surprisingly, Zan has failed me, but we'll go into round two.
I brought up all the points you could bring up for Jim Carrey being brilliant, man.
Yeah. Oh, we're going.
There's nothing else I could have brought up.
Let's go on into round two. Still a chance to force it to a tie. Okay. So this is a battle of the ages right here. Which one is better? Question on everybody's mind. Netflix or Hulu? Secret Kitty will be arguing on the behalf of Netflix. And BitW Zan will be arguing the case of Hulu. I'm going to let the audience once again choose who goes first. For the
well, since Zan went first last time, have Kitty go first. I seem like that's only fair.
It's going to be fair.
I was about to say,
I gave him
go
a chance.
again.
I gave you a chance to make it unfair, Mez, and you did not take the bait.
Okay,
So,
I was going to say, like, damn, hold on. He's
right.
giving him a chance again?
Yeah.
All right.
So, let me get the clock ready. Secret, are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. Tell us why Netflix is better than Hulu, and go.
All right. So Netflix started as a DVD exchange service through the mail. It rivaled Blockbuster at that time and some other video rental stores, and it did quite well, I believe, due to not having late fees like fucking Blockbuster. And while it is not the original streaming service, it was the most popular, or it is the most popular, and became popular over the years. They excel at having a lot of old TV shows, new TV shows, and a lot of great originals, including Orange is the New Black, Jessica Jones, Daredevil, and all those other Marvel shows. And they are continuously having new original content as well as updating their previously made content, their originals and previous shows, and some new shows as well. And that's kind of all I have.
Okay. That was an impressive 1 minute and 6 seconds.
Quick and to the point.
So I'm going to reset the clock and ask.
Mine will not be 1 minute, so don't worry.
Oh, God.
W Zan, are you ready?
Yep.
And go for Hulu.
Okay, so I'm here to argue in favor of Hulu, which I believe is the better streaming service, at least better than Netflix. Hulu and Netflix on the surface seem quite similar to each other, but of course there are differences. Now, someone could tell you it's a matter of what you would want or prefer, but I believe that might not be the case anymore these days. Hulu was primarily known as the TV show streaming service. It's where you go to watch shows literally the day after they came out on the networks. And it still is that, but since its inception, that's grown. They've developed the ability to house multiple seasons of shows that have ended, as well as include movies into the library, and not just like older movies like they used to have. They include pretty recent movies as well. They also own the exclusive rights to watch Seinfeld. They have a more robust anime collection. They house wrestling for those of us who can't watch it live. They have also getting a growing originals collection with The Handmaid's Tale, Chance, Runaways, Harlots, and many others, which have garnered some praise. Even including The Handmaid's Tale, the first season of it won an Emmy for Outstanding Drama, being the only streaming service to do so, something that Netflix has failed to do despite being nominated before. While Netflix does have the watchable original programs, their whole throw spaghetti at the wall and get it series is going to leaves us with several really unwatchable shows, whereas I believe Hulu, while they do have lesser original content to their name, has more substance to them. Hulu might have started at a smaller point with less to its library, but I think that's something that will change in the future. You got to remember that Disney owning 60% of Hulu now, you got to expect all those wonderful Marvel shows from Netflix to swim on over. It's expected that's going to happen. Also, any Disney movie that Netflix may enjoy showing will most likely be streaming on Hulu in the near future. The next day TV shows that Hulu has, now with the backing of Disney and movies and content, Hulu is the way forward, man. That's my opening statement.
Okay. All right. So we're going into the battle round. I mean, the peaceful debate between two individuals. Okay. I'm going to reset the clock, and you'll have 10 minutes to get your points out. Mm-hmm. And go.
Okay, but Hulu removes the previous episodes all the time. So if you miss 1 week or a couple of weeks, you're asked out of those episodes. You have to find them somewhere else. No,
it doesn't remove the previous episode the next week. It removes they remove episodes for seasons 6 episodes down the line. So you're gonna have to miss a lot of episodes in order to do that. And even then, once the season ends, it'll be on the channel. It'll be on the service. So
no, it's not, because I've tried to watch previous things and they're not always there. I know that for a fact.
I mean, you can no. There are. I mean, it's subjective in the amount of shows it can have. It's small right now, like I said, but going forward is going to increase, and that's going to be housing multiple seasons of shows. And even like I said, compare that to Netflix, where Netflix you can't even watch the shows anyway. Like you have to wait a year from when the season is over in order to watch it on Netflix.
If you really wanted to see them that badly, you would watch them on TV.
Or you can just wait for the next day and you can watch it on Hulu. It's the same thing with like, and if you pay a little bit extra, you look at the pricing points for both too. Hulu is cheaper than Netflix, and you don't have to worry about commercials.
Yeah, you do. Hulu has commercials all the time.
Yeah, but I'm saying if you get
Netflix does
both
not.
if you get both at their premium, Hulu is cheaper than Netflix.
How much is Hulu?
It's like $8.99 compared to Netflix $9.99. If you get the premiums, then it's like $11.99 to Netflix is $13.99, which just increased anyway. And if you look at the recent reports, Netflix is expected to lose almost 1 million subscribers because of their price hike, which is only going to increase in the future.
But they'll lose that initially, but they're gonna gain it again. Anyways,
with what?
Netflix,
They don't have anything. They don't have anything in the future. Right now, Netflix is pretty good, but it's on the way
That's
out.
what we're talking about right now. We don't know what the future is going to be like. You can say, yeah,
we do because Disney is owning 60% of Hulu. Like all the shows that Netflix relies on are going away.
You don't know that for sure yet. You don't. That's just
We
speculation.
do. It's in the reports. It's in the like there's
Whose report
articles
is
about
this?
it now. Like all these like the New York Times, like any like
Is
Associated
that their
Press. You look at any of these like people that talk about this
stuff.
stuff.
Or is that like a quote from a person? Speculation or quotes? There's a difference in that.
Okay.
So these reporters, they're speculating that's what's going to happen, right?
It's what Disney wants. Like Disney wanted their own streaming service. They don't have to do it now, is what they said, because we have Hulu. They bought out Fox, which owned the other percent of Hulu. So now they're gonna have Fox content as well as Disney content, including and you merge that with Hulu's original stuff and the stuff they've been doing with TV. That makes a really powerful streaming service. Whereas Netflix, all they're doing is creating more original stuff that some of which, like only a handful, are really good, to be honest.
So I have a feeling then that Netflix or Hulu is going to be Disneyfied or Disneyfied? I don't know how you would word that, right? So like we've seen with Star Wars, so their original series I feel like are probably going to get like muddled with Disney things. So all those original good things that you're saying probably not going to happen anymore. It's going to be Disney, and they're going to be,
Disney
cheesy jokes.
Disney does business.
Disney's
not going to take a show that won an Emmy and be like, let's change it up just because. Disney does business. Overall, they're a business company, and whatever's making them money, whatever show is making them the most money, or whatever show is giving them the most like buzz and stuff like that, they're going to keep it. They're not going to change it. They're not going to mess with the formula.
They mess with Star Wars formula.
With Star Wars, people didn't like people were complaining about how unoriginal the first one was, like The Force Awakens. So they messed with that one with a formula they thought was gonna work with it because it has worked with their previous stuff. So
yeah, I have a feeling that all the originals are just gonna be muddled into Disney things, and it's not gonna be good. And they're probably going to be restrictive on what they put on there. It's probably not going to have any bloody animation.
Disney owned Marvel stuff when it was with Netflix, and those shows were still fine. Why would them going to Hulu mess with that? Like all the Marvel shows on Netflix were just fine.
Because Hulu is now associated with Disney. It's their image now.
It's not their image.
Netflix,
it's going to be their platform.
Exactly, that's their
where they can put their content.
Netflix
so
was just
why would they mess with the formula? Like Marvel has shown.
I mean,
not Marvel. Disney has shown that they don't mess with formulas that have no like they got the Marvel formula. That's all like copy and paste at this point. They know what to do to make something successful.
And when they don't know, or even when they do know, they're like, well, it's not family friendly, so they're gonna change it up. Whereas in Netflix and the original Marvel and Netflix was a partnership, not an ownership by Disney. That's why those shows were good. They were like, their whole image wasn't resting on Netflix, but now it will be on Hulu.
That's not necessarily true, because what's to say that they won't just bring the same people who wrote the shows from Marvel on on Netflix and just have them writing it for Hulu.
Writers
Like they
can
want
write
these things to be
anything.
successful. They want these things to be successful. They don't want their brand to fail. So it doesn't make sense for them to mess with that stuff.
But they're also big on their image. And
Okay, but they know how to distance themselves from things like that. Like there even talks about the Deadpool and stuff like that. Like they're making different brands for it. They're not just like all these shows are gonna start with the Disney logo. Like none of the Marvel Avengers or anything like that starts with Disney logo, and that's on purpose. They know even though it's under the Disney umbrella, it's not people are not gonna associate it with like Disney characters or anything like that. Like there's a difference in each like section where they have all these characters at and stuff like that.
But
They can do the same thing with Hulu.
But we all know that it is owned by Disney, and that's why sometimes the movies feel cheesy.
But they're still successful. Like no matter what your personal opinion of it is, everything they've put out has been successful, including Star Wars.
I guess.
So even if the service is Disneyfied, the stats show, the numbers show it will be successful because that Disney makes things or do things that are successful. And having all that content on there, to include the Marvel stuff and all Disney movies and all like Star Wars stuff on one streaming service that's going to be exclusive to Hulu, that's going to just set it up to be successful. All Netflix has is a handful of original content that does all right.
And
But almost everything,
content.
almost 90% of the show, almost 90% of stuff on Netflix now is Netflix original content.
Oh
and
my
most
god,
of that stuff is unwatchable.
90%. No,
I can't tell you how many times I'm scrolling. I can't tell you how many times I'm scrolling through Netflix and I see that damn Netflix bar over everything I'm seeing now.
Duh, that's
Like,
their.
nothing is
That's
nothing-
like a homepage. You're gonna see what they want you to, what they're pushing first. Doesn't mean that's all that they have. They still have.
And then they do the thing
that
where, like,
vast
oh, we're gonna-
majority of past shows that are like induce a lot of nostalgia. There's a lot of good old shows on there that you can't really watch anywhere
Yeah.
else.
All they have now is like a bunch of crappy comedies and they used to be known for movies. They're not even known for that anymore because all they have is like a ton of like shit tier movies now at this point. But their originals, they're getting pushed to the front. It also shrinks the amount of like stuff we actually want to see because every month they decide to like play roulette with some of these good movies that we like and just start deleting them from there for no
But
reason.
sometimes they come back though. They come.
But you don't know when. So like you're like, okay, I want to go watch this movie. Oh wait, it's not on Netflix. Great.
Actually,
They played Spin the Wheel this month.
You can sign up for them to tell you what's gonna be there this month and what's getting taken off, so that if you
I don't
wanna
need to
watch
sign
a
up for
movie-
that. I can get that on Google. I can easily Google that. That doesn't
Okay,
matter.
then,
It doesn't
so
make the
then
fact
you
that I
know
can't
what's
access it
gonna
even
happen.
better.
Stop acting
It-
like it's a surprise. You know that it's gonna
It's
happen.
not as a surprise. It's just as a nuisance because when you do want to watch something, you're like, oh wait, I can't this month, I guess, because it's gone. So I have to wait. Who knows when they're gonna bring it back? They got rid of shows like Bob's Burger, despite people were like, don't get rid of Bob's Burgers, and they got rid of it anyway. Now it's on Hulu. So okay, well there's that. They got rid of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia for some reason, another popular show that people like to watch. They got rid of that. Now it's on Hulu. There's a sign here. Everything that's decent, that's good, like well to watch, is moving to Hulu. There's a reason why that's happening. Netflix is just skimming by on the stuff that it has right now, but going forward, it's gonna be Hulu. That's the streaming service where you can watch movies and you can watch TV shows, and especially the day after. You don't have to wait 3 years to watch the next season of a show
3 years
you like.
is an exaggeration.
It is,
It's
but
like
it's the whole
next
point.
year.
But that's like
If you really
I mean,
wanted to watch it, you would have
in
watched it.
this day and age, that's like 3 years. In this day and age of spoilers and stuff being like dished out to you, next year is like an eternity. Whereas you can just watch the shows the next day on Hulu.
If you really wanted to watch them, you would have caught them.
You could with Hulu the next day. That's my whole point. Like you can. Who wants cable anymore? Nobody wants cable. The best next thing to like actually watching it live, which nobody cares about doing anymore with cable, is watching it the next day on Hulu.
Or you can just watch it the same day.
And that's time.
I mean,
I'm sorry.
arguing
I'm
for cable.
so
You're not
sorry.
arguing for
The
Netflix
bell
there.
has rung. No more. No more. So,
It felt like a
This-
debate
the-
over Disney somehow.
Yeah. it did.
yes. So this debate was just as juicy as I wanted it to be.
Why is it? How is the debate juicy? Like,
This because this is a topic that I actually cared about, and I'm not going to say my bias until after I made the decision. I do have a bias of which one I favor, but it didn't affect me. Don't worry, I'm a fair man most of the time. So let's go over some of the points that you guys hit, which were some good ones. Secret talked about Netflix, being one of the godfathers of this new streaming sensation. It came out as a renting company, and then the rival Blockbuster. It didn't just rival Blockbuster, it destroyed Blockbuster, essentially. that Netflix and Redbox killed Blockbuster.
Yeah.
You mentioned the great original shows, which are fantastic. It's what's actually kept Netflix, pretty much afloat. Still is the lead. The Netflix original shows are really good. Including Luke Cage and Jessica Jones, Bright, to a lot of Daredevil. There's a ton of good ones on there.
Yeah.
Now for some of Zan's points. Zan brought up a point about Hulu having new shows, which is true. It's one of the only streaming sites to, host a show that won an Emmy. And yeah, it's pretty much that. I'll give it that. There's a lot of other stuff was reaching. Let me talk about the stuff mistakes both you guys were making. Now, Zan, I know you were reaching with that 90%. Unwatchable Netflix originals. Get the hell out of here. Netflix original shows are awesome, and it's not 90%.
It's the way I am.
Yeah.
You
were arguing it.
They do have original content, but there's a lot of stuff on there that's just like unwatchable. But 90% of course I exaggerate for fun, but it's not 90% obviously. But still, there's a ton of it on there when you get to the homepage, and it's like I don't want to see all this crap.
Kittty, the biggest mistake, and this might have been the deciding factor, was not mentioning or not bringing up, not putting to the forefront the weakest portion of Hulu's business, and that's the advertising. There are commercials all through, but you kind of like just
glossed over
answered. You glossed over it. You answered the questions, and it's like, oh no, they get that from advertisement, and then that was it. We got to count the amount of advertisements in there. If you ask Zan, hey, how many commercials do I have to see in one episode of Modern Family or something like that? And when those numbers go up to 4, 5, 6,
well, knowing Zan, he would have retorted with, "Well, if you buy the premium one, you don't have to get any commercials."
You can't
exactly.
Yeah, so you have to pay extra to get the premium. So that he'd be backtracking. So pretty much what Zan did, I
wouldn't have.
He kind of led, Secret into the track where she was trying to defend on the defensive end when she should have been attacking. Especially the weakest thing about Hulu, the reason why I dropped Hulu is because I have to watch a commercial every 5 minutes. I'm watching the show. It feels like I'm watching more commercials than I'm watching the show.
Okay, but I did say there was commercials.
Yeah, but it wasn't hard. Like it wasn't brought up like to the forefront. Like I know they have advertising.
I know they of picking one thing and just attacking it the whole time.
I know. We gotta talk about it for the whole 10 minutes.
Now, a couple other good things that you guys both mentioned. Zan mentioned, like I said, that, hey, brand new shows come out. Netflix, you have to wait like a year or so for you to see a show that shows up on Netflix, but while Hulu will have it out fairly soon. And Secret brought up Hulu removes previous episodes of a show while you're watching it. That is extremely annoying. I didn't know about that, but that sounds extremely annoying.
Not the previous episode. That's
previous
crazy,
episodes. Like you said, like 6 episodes down the line.
Yeah,
that's still annoying.
Too.
Yeah, that's still annoying. That's super annoying. Like if I'm like I want to go back to let me see what he said in season 1. Oh, it's not on here anymore. That would suck. But
they're getting better at that though.
But all in all, my argument, I sided with Zan in this debate of the way he pretty much attacked Netflix and mentioned that Disney was taking over, or it's going to be the next big thing and all that. Or Netflix might lose these Marvel Netflix shows that's done so well for Netflix. So Zan's argument got more compelling, and that's what was, Secret was on the defensive end on that side of the argument.
You just want to use your tiebreaker.
No. I'm pretty on the money with this because, like I said, I was waiting the entire time for you to bring up, hey, how many commercials in there? You might have mentioned that there's advertisements, but you mentioned it. That could mean just one. That could mean, one every 2 episodes. You didn't mention like the numbers.
Seems like he was looking for a specific.
I know.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
no, but listening to the argument, trying to listen to the argument unbiasedly, I wouldn't. From what you guys just debated, I wouldn't know how annoying the advertisements are in Hulu. I just know that they have advertisements. If they have just one in like the beginning or one at the end, then I wouldn't care. Like how YouTube has it.
Okay.
I would say.
So, I mean, yeah. If you look like explaining the way he does, it kind of makes sense. Like if he didn't know anything about
if I didn't know
one,
anything about them, I wouldn't know that they have.
He wouldn't know that they had how many commercials he would have to go through to watch a show of Modern Family.
That's why
that is a reason
I was kind of sitting waiting for it.
That is the reason why I stopped using Hulu before, was because I was getting so annoyed with advertising.
Exactly. It's actually a deal breaker for a lot of people, to include me. So
I pay for the premium, so I don't experience any commercials.
Oh, okay.
So. I don't know what you guys are going through. I'm sorry.
You pay for YouTube Red too, man?
Yeah.
Mr.
I prefer
Premium
Netflix,
service?
but on this one I went with Zan because like I said, for that reason, that was a big thing for Hulu. Hulu's biggest weakness is the advertisements when compared to Netflix.
The one that I was waiting for, that I was like, if she talks about it, like I probably won't have nothing for it, was that she mentioned the original shows too, but she only mentioned like Orange is the New Black, which I think is the one that you like to watch. But like you didn't go into Stranger Things or Black Mirror. I would have been like, I wouldn't have anything to say about that. I would have been like, oh,
these are my favorite shows.
Those are my favorite shows.
I
was out because when she mentioned the Marvel shows, I was like, yeah, just keep talking about Marvel shows. That's all I want you to keep talking about. Don't remember anything else.
It seemed like you had her in a loop with the Disney thing for a long time.
Yeah,
and, just going back and forth. I was like, but all you gotta do is hit that advertisement secret and you win this. Just say, hey, I don't have to watch 9 commercials or watch 15 minutes of advertisement in a 30-minute movie or a 30-minute TV show when I watch Netflix shows. So
all right,
I give the win to Zan on that one. And
what is the tiebreaker then?
I'm a Netflix fan, by the way. I side with Netflix. So
what is the tiebreaker then, buddy?
This is all come down to this.
What you wanted. This is that laugh. This is what you wanted.
So
we were just puppets in this game. Now
I'm trusting that everyone knows that I'm a fan of Death Warrant.
Oh my god!
And you guys had ample time to watch this show
said you were gonna
look
do
it up.
So unfair.
My question would be, the actress.
Oh my god. Well.
Gal Gadot. How old is Gal Gadot? You have 7 seconds.
How old is Gal Gadot?
Yes.
36.
Okay, that's your answer. What's yours, Zan?
29. This was like playing the Price is
and
Right.
hold. It is the Price is Right rules right here. Right there. So if I do the math, hang on, my math is extremely slow.
What math?
What?
To see who's closer.
Yes. So.
This is the time of the question?
Yes.
What is wrong with you people?
Oh, damn it. I mean, secret, you got it. Gal Gadot is 33 years old. And if my math is correct, you are only 3 years away, while Zan is 4 years old. See? Fair question. None of you guys knew her age, but one of you guys were close. Much fairer than the questions you guys gave me.
Actually, she's 32 years old. Minister.
And now for the real tiebreaker question.
What was that? What is this collusion then? What's happening here? There was some collusion here for me to lose?
No.
Like, luckily we had the audience member fact checking because I would have been screwed out of another victory here.
She turned 33 this year,
She
though?
turns it this year, but her birthday's not until April.
Okay.
So technically, Secret Kittty would still win. But...
No, why? Why would she still win?
Because April's not that far.
That doesn't matter into this. Doesn't factor into this. If anything, that makes it more down the middle than to any one person.
This question.
Well, then
this question is disqualified.
6 months.
Yeah,
right?
This question is
in the
disqualified.
Summer.
We're not going to get into it. The question is disqualified. All right. Back to Death Warrant.
Oh my god.
The actress.
Okay.
Here's a question. Get ready. The actress. Gal Gadot.
Oh my god.
Served how many years in the Israeli Defense Force as a combat instructor? Just guess the years.
Why are you doing these prices right?
Yeah, buddy. 4? That's your answer, secret? Okay. What is yours?
4 in 1 month. No, I'm just joking.
Yeah, you can do it that way if you want.
No, 2.5.
And we have a winner. Zan with 2.5 years. She actually served 2 years in the Israeli Defense Force. If you had went with 4 1/4, you would have lost. But you went with 2.5.
Oh, I know. That was just like a joke about the 1 penny over thing that they do in the Price is Right.
So yeah, you're pretty close. So Zan wins the debate.
What a weird tiebreaker.
Oh my god.
It's a fair tiebreaker question. That's what it is. It's a complete split down the line. It's a coin toss. I knew something.
I guess. Yeah.
I could have said Death Warrant, and I think Zan would have had the advantage because he actually seen the movie. So I couldn't have done that. That's why I never did. I would have forced it on anyways.
At least it's not nothing crazy like Flowers or like a
Exactly.
video game series nobody cares about.
Hey, people care about it. It's still relevant.
So that's going to do
at least this one gave more. I mean, honestly, this one gave more of a fighting chance.
more of a chance.
Than that Assassin's Creed one. Nobody knew about that.
I'll tell you, I try to be fair. Like I said, I don't like Hulu. Like I said, I dropped Hulu because of the commercials, and the debate was still won on Hulu's side, unfortunately. People don't support Hulu. Support Netflix. Just to let people know that.
Jesus, listen, man, they could be a future advertiser for us, right? So cut that out. Right there.
Yeah,
you don't know.
That's true. Hey, Hulu, if you're gonna pay the cash, then I retract that statement. That goes for you too, Netflix. I'm straight on that.
whichever one advertises, whichever one
comes first.
We are willing to sell out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. So to Hulu and Netflix, all jokes aside, all I have to say is you'll never see me coming. All right. It's been edged in there.
Well, that's going to do it then. This is a very minister-esque debate contest to capture the point. But, yeah. Wow, so looking at the rankings now.
Oh,
then,
my God, the rankings. We don't need to look at the rankings at all.
3-1. Still not the champ. Sadly enough. Kittty goes to 1-3, I think, right?
No.
Yeah, 1-3.
2-2. No. Yeah. 1-3.
She's 1-3.
Yeah.
If she would have won, she would have been 2-2. And Mez, you're still 2-1. So we got to get you in the next one here, Mez.
So I think looking at the rankings, it should be me versus Minister because we each have 3 debates.
Mm.
It'll be you and Minister next time.
It should be the rematch of the first ever one.
With
that's right.
with Zan being the moderator because it's been a while, and I'll be getting tortured with questions from all of you guys. So, but yeah, we look forward to that. But that is going to do it for us here on our Capture the Point debate. I've been Big W Zan, joined by my good buddies here. Not saying goodbye forever, just saying goodbye for now.